Well, I've added a new project to do, and this is it. A wind turbine. I've temporarily assembled the turbine with the blades. That's because I need to know how long of a mast I need from the turbine to the upright mast so I won't hit the blades. What I found is that conveniently a 2 feet piece of 1.5 inch PVC works just fine. It'll bypass the blades when I have the other end on it. And I've also got a flange to work for it. Fortunately, the kit came with the wrenches to install the blade and the center mount onto the turbine itself. All I have to do is provide a little Allen wrench for the top flange. This tool is going to come in handy for removing the nut that mounts the blades, because it's going to be easy to store the blades without the turbine. As you can see, there are 3 wires coming out of the wind turbine. That's 3-phase delta configuration. More about that later. But there is a problem. And that problem is that this turbine is built in China and it's metric. The flange that I bought is US standard. That means that the holes don't match up. So I'm going to have to not only drill the holes to match up the holes on the flanges here, but I'm going to have to drill out the holes so that it fits metric bolts. What I have here is what was a 10-foot pipe, 1.5 inch diameter. It's been cut into 4 pieces, 30 inches long. And then all I have to do is connect one of these terminals to the end here, screw it down, at least on 3 of them. The 4th one I have something special planned for. Well, I've got the connectors screwed onto the pipe here, and I also have it screwed onto the top pipe here. And with the top pipe, I've got this 3-sided guy wire hook thing with loops, which makes it easier to work with. And I've measured this down 2 feet so that the blades don't hit the wire. The connection at the top of the post there is roughly 8 feet, and the guy wires are attached to posts or stakes. They're roughly 2 feet away from center. So if we do the calculations, that means the hypotenuse, these wires on the side, are about 8¼ feet long. That's hidden in the grass, but I've got the stake at roughly a 45-degree angle into the ground for maximum strength. And I've got the hook connected to that, and then I've got the turnbuckle. Now the turnbuckle is adjusted so that there's maybe 1/4 to 1/3 of the thread in each side of the turnbuckle. That way I can make fine adjustments as needed. And then I've got the cable clamp here adjusted so that the cable won't come off. And I got a bit of extra cable here. I'll be cutting that off but I want to leave a little bit for adjustments just in case things change. After all, I may not be on very level ground all the time. One thing I noticed about these Walmart 10-inch tent stakes is that, well, besides they tend to bend under good pressure, is the plastic piece here. It's got a loop here, and that's not very strong at all. Matter of fact, the clip on the guy wire will just pull right through that plastic. So what I do is I just clamp it around the base of the stake, and that seems to hold it pretty good. At the bottom of the mast, we're going to need a base. Otherwise, the pipe we have here is just going to dig into the ground and any wires that come out. And with the tension of the guy wires, it's going to get even worse. So, what I have is another speed rail flange, same kind as I used on the turbine. So I just have to mount this at the base of this, and then the flat base is going to hold up under most soil conditions. I also want to create a little indentation in the ground, maybe ½ an inch, something that will hold the base in there so it won't slide side to side. Since I had room in the expanded battery compartment, this is where I put the wind turbine electronics. Now over here I've got the wind turbine controller and charger, and I've got this wired up to a fuse box here. I also have the solar electrical in here. It's also going through a fuse box. Now the output of the controller here is mixed with the solar control here on a grounding block that I used, not being used as ground. And down here I've got the 3 wires going to the controller from the wind turbine. Now the thing about the wind turbine controller is hookup is very critical. Very critical because you need to make sure that you've got a really solid ground on the controller first. I've got mine connected to the batteries through a permanent connection that's also connected to the frame of the motorhome. Because if the ground isn't good or it's connected last, the controller will burn up. It's that sensitive. You may be wondering how I'm getting the turbine wires into the motorhome. Well, what I have here is, well actually it's a 4-conductor trailer connector. I'm only using 3 of the wires. And I've got a matching end to it. So I just have to plug this in. And I've connected my wind turbine to my controller. This wind turbine is adequate for what I'm using it for. Essentially, it's to capture energy when the wind is blowing at night to help charge up the power for the furnace, or when it's cloudy and windy. And down here in southern Texas, it's kind of windy and occasionally cloudy, unlike in southern Arizona where it doesn't get cloudy very much. And well, it does get a little bit windy, not quite as much, but still. The thing about the wind turbine is it's kind of bulky to carry around, so I really only set it up for the winter retreats down here in southern Texas or in southern Arizona. Setting it up, taking it down, that's just an awful lot of work. So far, it seems to be working pretty good. It doesn't exactly produce a lot of power like the solar panels do, but it does provide good supplemental power. I'm also thinking of getting a different wind controller for it, something that has a few more adjustments on it. So all in all, I'd say it's worth the money I spent, and it's, you know, less than $100 a watt, just like solar panels, and probably going to get cheaper and more efficient too in the future. So yeah, I recommend that if you're going to be staying someplace for a long time that has a bit of wind in the atmosphere, that think about getting one.